This is a paid program. JJ Publicidad, EMR, and its owners and associates take no responsibility for the opinions or statements made by the talk show host or their guest.
Hello, magandang hapon po sa inyong lahat. This is Ria Luz of Buhay Buhay sa Amerika, right at Aventurado live. And today we are very lucky because we have amazing guests and amazing co-hosts will be with me today. I would like to introduce first my beautiful co-host, Miss Tess Bailon, the CEO of Best Care Home of Moon Valley, and our Buhay Buhay sa Amerika Committee Chair here in Arizona. Ate Tess, good afternoon.
Well, good afternoon, Ria. I am very excited to be again your co-host today.
I'm so glad you joined me.
Huh?
I'm so glad you joined me.
Of course, all the time.
And together we're celebrating our 5th year for our first episode as we turn 5 years today, Ate.
Yes. So, well, please stay tuned in. We have interesting guests today. They're from West Point. They have children from West Point, and they would like to share their stories to us today. And please like, subscribe, and also share Buhay Buhay sa Amerika.
And they can ask questions as well. So,
Yes.
Ate, without further ado, we need to introduce this amazing guest that we have. Yay, look at that. We haven't introduced and they've already come out. At first one that I would like to introduce is this amazing and very humble. I call him humble because the first time he told me what he does, I met him on an ice cream social at West Point. And I asked, what do you do? And he said, I sell ice cream at Walmart. And I actually searched his name. His name is Joe Sta Romana. He is a West Point grad of 1997. And Joe happens to be the founder and president of Filipino Club of West Point, which is now the Asian Pacific Club in West Point. He is the Unilever and Walmart head of sales for customer team. And he is responsible for $2 billion account. That's why when he said, I'm just selling ice cream to Walmart, I was like, this guy must be so humble. So let's welcome Joe Sta Romana on the show.
Well, hi. Yeah. Thank you for having me. First and foremost, congratulations on 5 years.
Thank you.
When you asked me what I did for a living, you didn't ask me how much ice cream I sold, but I sold a lot of ice cream.
That's true.
and a lot of other things as well.
We're so grateful that you join us despite your very busy schedule. And we're very proud of you and your family. And another family that we are welcoming on the show is the parents of an amazing young man. In fact, this couple, Rick and Jocelyn Aventurado, are parents of Army Ranger Joseph Aventurado, and is now a West Point plebe. Another amazing story that we will show today. Ate, there's so much to learn from this episode. And I'm sure you have some questions in mind that you wanted to ask these great parents. Would you like to ask the first question?
Oh, sure. Yeah, this question is for Joe.
Yes.
And Joe, it's we read and heard about West Point. Would you be able to share us your experience being a West Point graduate?
Yeah, sure. So back in 1992, I decided that while in high school, I decided that my career path would be in the U.S. Army, and I thought there's no better way to be an Army officer than going through West Point. So I applied back in 1992. Was lucky enough to gain a few nominations, and then from high school, went to West Point and did Beast or Cadet Basic Training in 1993, and then graduated in 1997. And then from that graduation point, I served my 5 years in the Army. I was fortunate enough to be able to be stationed at Fort Hood, Texas in the 1st Cav Division. Did lots of different roles in the Army. Loved serving my country for those 5 years. And then after completing my commitment to West Point and the Army, transitioned to civilian role into the civilian world, where I've been working for the last 18 years.
Wow.
Oh, that's
Great
really
job.
amazing. Yes. Well, Joe, what inspired you to join the West Point Academy? I know it's hard to get into the West Point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a great question. Originally, my life plan had me doing politics. Is what I wanted to do. I did politics all through student body politics while I was in high school. Had lots of leadership positions and thought, it'd be great to go into politics. And I thought, what would build a good resume for running for office? And I thought, I get to serve my country. I need to be a lawyer, and then ultimately. Run for some sort of state election or city election and make my way up the ranks. And so, that really started, my quest for public service. And so that's what really got me to want to and apply to West Point while I was in high school. And so I was able to go do that. And while I was at West Point, I was fortunate enough to do an internship on the House of Representatives. So I worked for a congressman, and while I was there as a junior, I realized I didn't want to be in politics, so I had to change my plans a bit. But yeah, that was my original intent in terms of career path was to go into politics. And West Point and serving the Army and serving our country was a way to build what I thought would be a lifetime of service.
That is very admirable, Joe, that you, from the beginning, you already have that mindset to serve and to really give back to the country. Whichever profession you chose, you really are an example for all of us, and you paved the way for these many young men and women now who are in West Point. In fact, as I mentioned, you are the president of the Filipino Club, and now it became an Asian Pacific club in West Point. And I'm sure Rick and Jocelyn can also testify that it's not easy to become parents of a West Point grad, right? Rick and Jocelyn? West Point cadet.
No. Well, I think we want to start discussing Joseph's path, or
No. It's just not easy.
No, it's not. There's not easy at all.
Yes. We will be wanting to hear how did Joseph come to be in West Point. But first thing, that question of Ate Tess, this is a question for all our parents. In what age should we prepare our young people to prepare not only in West Point to college life or an academy, military academy, which is the hardest to enter in college, right, Joe?
Yeah, I could start. I have two children in college. I have a senior at Indiana University, and I have of course a plebe at West Point. And the advice we gave to our kids is it's pretty much game on. You start freshman year of high school. So these colleges and getting into more competitive institutions of higher learning, really requires for you to have quite a good transcript as well as resume of activities to include both leadership and sports. And so, as soon as you start your freshman year, if you're serious, we told our children of getting into these higher institutions, you really need to focus and put your mind and of course your time and your grit into achieving the best you can achieve right off the bat. If you wait a little bit, it just makes it much more difficult to get in, especially the first go around. If you really want to go do those things, given that so many kids, so many high school children are focused, right, at getting into these programs, that if you're not competitive off the bat, then you're going to be at a disadvantage.
Very good. Thank you so much, Joe. How about
Yeah.
Jocelyn? I know that you're a teacher. You could, and Rick, you could add what you have prepared. How did you prepare your son to get to
Well,
West Point?
Sorry.
Well, and I totally agree with what Joe said. I mean, just from the very beginning, do what it takes to be an overall student of excellence, from the academia to any hobbies or sports that you have. Join as many, or just be a leader as part of the groups or councils that you are a part of in school, and even just be one of those type of students that will just be outside of the box and do something in the community as well.
Yes, I mean they have to be, what they're looking for, somebody who's well-rounded. If you're just really good at academics, it's going to harm your chances. They're going to want you to do other things. They prefer you do sports, and join clubs, be leaders of the clubs, and do things like that. Some start their own nonprofit. Our son is looking to go to military academy, so he's actually got his friends together. They're going to start their own little nonprofit. So
Our younger son, yes.
yes.
Thank you so much, Rick and Jocelyn, for your answer. Earlier, Ate Tess, Joe was talking about some network. West Point is so huge on networking. So, Joe, I heard there's so much perks of being a West Point grad, because it's not easy to get in and to even graduate from West Point. Would you be able to share with us some of that perks, and especially the tight-knit network of West Point grad?
Yeah. So like I would say that there's a pretty strong bond with those that graduate from the U.S. Military Academy. We all have a common experience of going through these, the 47-month leadership experience. And so when you meet West Point grads, out and about in the wild, there's this commonality, these common experiences that you share that really bond you to other graduates, even if you just met them for the first time. And we have a really strong alumni network, and so the Association of Graduates, and I think everyone, many of you here on the phone or on the line, have been to the AOG Herbert Hall, which is the headquarters of our AOG. It's a very strong network, and so anytime that we're looking to possibly like change professions, leave the Army, look for mentors, we typically look at the resource guide, look for other graduates through the AOG, and then find these networking connections in order to better transition, or to better be able to be part or learn about different organizations. And so, when I decided after my 5-year commitment for the Army was over and I was going to transition to a civilian career, I actually went through what we call the Service Academy Career Conference, which is a career conference for all of the service academies, the Naval Academy, Air Force Academy, Merchant Marine Academy, Coast Guard, as well as West Point. AOG is one of like the founding members of the career conference. And we actually go there where companies are actually looking to recruit junior military officers that have done an academy experience. And so I was able to get multiple job offers as I was transitioning out of the Army, and then ultimately, which led me to work at Procter & Gamble, which was my first job in 2002 post the military service. And at the time, at Procter & Gamble, the CMO, the Chief Marketing Officer, was Bob McDonald, a 1975 graduate of West Point, who I think 3 or 4 years later became the CEO of Procter & Gamble, which was very cool to see our network of alum at that company really support each other.
Wow, that's wonderful, Joe. And being a new parent of a plebe, I can just imagine what West Point grad and what West Point can do to our children when they graduate. And we're already very proud. Seeing you and your success inspires us more as parents. So I think there's so much more questions and more information you will be learning from this episode, and we'll be right back just right after this commercial.
At magbabalik po ang Buhay Buhay sa Amerika. Huwag kayong aalis!
Hello everyone. Thank you for watching and listening to the show. I'd like to greet a happy 5th anniversary to Buhay Buhay sa Amerika, Ria Luz, and the production staff. Thank you for giving our Fil-Am community an important platform to share Pinoy inspirational stories in America and promoting awareness of our talents, culture, and interests. From my family, Dip Dip and Joe Maynard, and yours truly, Edward Lago, Senior Loan Officer at Fairway Independent Mortgage Corporation. For financial guidance, you can reach me at 602-545-7797.
At muli pong nagbabalik ang Buhay Buhay sa Amerika ni Ria Luz.
Happy 5th anniversary! Buhay Buhay sa Amerika! Congratulations from Lano!
Thank you so much to our sponsor of today's episode, President Prince Edward Lago, Mommy Dit Hodgson, Maynard, and Tito Joe. Thank you for sponsoring our today's episode. If you could see, we'll be plugging on the screen. Javier, maybe we can let it flow. You saw it earlier. And earlier we were asking about Joe, about the tight network opportunities of being a West Point grad. And today I have my co-host with me, Ate Tess Bailon, who I'm sure has more questions to ask. Ate Tess, would you like to ask the next question?
Yeah, Joe, how did you raise and prepare your son to enter West Point?
Oh yeah, so I would say that for Joey, our plebe at West Point, we really didn't push or want to encourage him to go to West Point. We really wanted him to make a decision on what he wanted to do. And it's very difficult, given that I love the academy. I thought my 4 years there was a wonderful experience and had really prepared me to succeed in what I wanted to do post graduation. But I also didn't want Joey to think that was the only path for him to be successful. And so we let Joey make a decision in terms of what did he want to do in life, what were the kind of things he was interested in, what would make him excited to wake up every day and really enjoy, either be it school or work or what he does, in terms of living. And so, we just told Joey that, hey, no matter what you needed to do, you needed to have a solid foundation in high school. So that meant, good academics, leadership type of experiences, athletics and sports. And then, that would really open up opportunities for him to either go to civilian school or decide to go to service academy, or possibly even do something else that was not in the realm of what we would consider a traditional path to success. And so, Joey is a great kid. Really studied hard and participated in both athletics and in leadership activities in school. And then his sophomore year, he decided that he wanted to learn more about service academies and learn more about service to our nation through the military. So he applied for summer leadership experience at West Point, applied to other leadership programs at the Coast Guard Academy and the Naval Academy, and was able to get into the 3 different leadership programs. And after doing those programs, decided that the path of military officership and service to our nation in the armed forces was something that he wanted to do. And then at that point, we supported his journey to prepare his packet, his application, gain nominations, and eventually get into West Point.
Do they allow internship at West Point for them to be able to see how it is, the academy?
They do. So there's a couple of different ways. One is, any high school student can go to West Point and talk, and then basically send a request to the admissions department to take a tour of the campus and meet with cadets. They have a STEM program for, I believe, rising sophomores, and they have a leadership experience for rising seniors to go and actually spend a week at the military academy to see both the academics as well as the leadership aspects of West Point. And then once they get in, they also have the option to go spend a couple of days at the academy to go meet with cadets, see what a day in the life of a cadet will look like. But I know that COVID has curbed a little bit of some of those experiences, but I believe that most of those experiences are coming back.
I think that's really a good experience to see West Point for anybody who wanted to just see West Point. When you see the campus, you'll fall in love because it's like a picture perfect place to be. But as Joe mentioned, it's a great place to come from, but a hard place to go to, right, Joe?
Yeah, that's what us graduates like to say. West Point's a good place to be from, but not a good place to go to. It's a pretty difficult 4 years.
In fact, I asked Joe about the picture on his back, and he says that's his class picture. Joe, how many of your class started and how many graduated?
So we started with over 1,200 new cadets, and we graduated 899.
Wow.
99. Wow. Did they leave because of health issues, or didn't just make it?
Yeah, there's a lot of different reasons, right? And they vary. Some realize that the military experience was different than what they thought, before joining West Point. And then some, the academics and or the military aspect or the physical aspect were just difficult and something they didn't want to pursue.
Wow. Thank you so much, Joe. I think this question is for all of us parents. I'm sure, Jocelyn, you'll be inspired or probably asking and wishing. There's so many of the new plebe now we know are having difficulty adjusting to this academic schedule and everything in West Point. And some wanted to leave. What would you tell someone who wanted to leave West Point at an early time in their career, in their just few weeks of their academic year? For Joe, sorry.
Yeah, for Joe.
I think my advice, if my son or a plebe asked me or signaled that they were thinking about leaving, I would say that it's really early to make a decision on whether or not the military life and the academy is for you. And I would also remind them how difficult the journey is to get into the academy and how easy it is to make a decision to leave. if you were to take a look at those two timelines, like I wouldn't leave without the same level of prudence and decision making and planning as it took to get into the academy. So I would ask them to think longer about what they want to achieve. I would ask our cadets, our new cadets, to think about what their end goals are. I would ask them to see are you leaving because of a momentary level of discomfort, or is this something that you truly believe is something you don't want to do for your career or for a longer period of time? And if they took a step back and looked at what it took to get in, and then use that same level of decision making, of effort that they used to get in before they got out, I would assume that most cadets would choose not to give up their West Point experience that early.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Joe. And that is what every parent in West Point, especially for us as a new parent of a cadet, it's not easy, and it's easier to give and say when our kids wanted to go home. What would you say? And I probably would say, talk to Uncle Joe. Right, Joe? Ate Tess, would you like to ask also Jocelyn the same way you asked Joe?
Yeah, well, Joe has mentioned earlier about networking, and how do people know to connect with you, or you're part of their resources? And do you have some kind of a website that people can reach you, or how are you being reached by people?
I think the networking that we're talking about, just a clarification, that networking we are talking about for Joe is, for me, I just entered West Point through my daughter, and I see the connection of parents. There's such a bond between the parents who, as a group, and much more those grad of West Point, if that's another point of networking, Joe.
Oh, for sure. If you're asking how parents should network or possibly network to get help their children attend the academy, I'm sorry, I'm a little, if you could explain the question a little more, I might be able to answer.
Yeah, the networking part, you started a resource for parents, and that also applies to the incoming cadets. So these are only not for parents, is that correct? This is also for prospect West Point
yeah. So
students.
So what I would say for like parents that are looking of cadet candidates, right? So children that would like to be candidates.
Right.
I think that at the end of the day, parents play less of a role as your high school students are applying to the academy. So high school students are really on their own journey to get the application, to understand the qualifications to get in, to apply for nominations, congressional nominations, to enter the academy, and then to also do a really good job at creating a solid resume and transcript of strong grades and strong extracurricular activities. Where parents come in, it's support for their children, right? In terms of what do they need to be successful, whether that be time or tutoring or even just moral support to help their children do well. And then I think at the end of the day, once our children get into a service academy or the military academy at West Point, I think we as parents, try to be additional incremental resources for them to help graduate and then we network amongst ourselves to to disseminate information, advice, so that we can pass it on to our children to help them as well.
Thank you so much, Joe. That was very helpful. And in fact, Ate Tess, I could testify, I will never meet these great parents if not because of our cadets who entered West Point. That alone is an amazing pathway for for parents to network to great parents around the nation. So I really congratulate everyone, and we are so grateful to our kids for allowing us to meet these great parents as well. So my question, Ate Tess, is, since you asked Joe about what was their preparation for Joey to enter West Point, this time we'll ask Rick and Jocelyn about this path that our Army Ranger Joseph has paved and now entered West Point as a plebe. Would you like to share?
Yeah, sure. Joseph more, we actually didn't push him at all to go to West Point. His grandfather kind of pushed him a little, but he still wasn't sold. But we had a family friend who went to West Point, and they took he's a pilot, and they took a trip with him, and he talked to him about, the benefits of West Point, the camaraderie, the lifelong friendships and things like that. And that kind of got him interested. I knew Joseph really had the mindset probably to be a good military. My father, and then I was my father was in the Air Force. I was in the Army, so I knew he would be a good fit for West Point. He applied. He actually didn't get in that first time, so Joseph is the type, he doesn't want to be just like a regular college student. He wants to be more than that. A lot of his friends, being in Houston, Texas, they go to A&M or UT or something like that, and that's not something he wanted to do. He wanted something more, so that's why he focused on West Point. And he did well in the Army. He was honor grad for basic training. He did the Ranger Assessment Selection Program, which is extremely hard. It's so hard. He talked to a tree. He was so hungry, sleep deprived, and tired. Plus, he went through actual Ranger school, where most of the time he slept in a plastic bag just to make sure he didn't get wet. And they had max for Ranger school, they only get like 3 hours. At max, they get 3 hours sleep a night.
Wow.
So it's Ranger school is like crisis management training. It's probably the best crisis management training in the world, because they put you to where you're at your worst. You're hungry, you're sleep deprived, a lot of times you're cold, and then they say you need to execute this mission and go do it. So he learned a lot. And then through the Rangers themselves, he learned a lot, because they specifically put them in leadership positions.
Yeah.
And the Rangers' motto is "Rangers lead the way."
He does.
And he did get deployed twice, which is kind of their record for parents. One time he went to Afghanistan, and the other one, we don't know where he went. It is kind of scary getting the phone call. He goes, "Dad, I'm getting on a plane. I can't tell you where I'm going, and I don't know when I'm going to be back."
Wow.
So, yeah.
So he overall, he was not one of your typical high school students. He just wanted more than his other friends, and they would make fun of him. But then at the same time, it's like, I don't care. I'm going to where I need to go. And he didn't give up.
Yeah.
So when he was told he didn't get in,
he immediately went.
He researched.
Because he already knew that he could go from, they have a lot of people in the Army. Now, a lot of them don't actually pass at West Point, but they have a program where, people who are current enlisted people can apply and go to West Point. So there's an age limit, and just as that age limit, I think you have to do it before you're 23 years old.
So he is an older cadet.
So he's older cadet.
He's the
more
kuya.
experienced.
Yeah, he's the kuya.
Yeah, he's a kuya. He was a little annoyed because when he went to Beast, and he calls it like summer camp. Because ranger school and ranger assessment is really hard.
Well, he
Go ahead.
go ahead.
So, but he never gave up. So he that was his goal, and he was going to get there. Now he's there.
That's wonderful. But I think Joseph is a different kind of breed because
Yes.
I met another. He used to be an army, and now he's a plebe. And I met them in the A Day weekend, and the parents said he thought he would die. The beast is not that easy. He was an enlisted army, but he still think that the beast was so difficult. And and as a parent, that's what my daughter said the same way. She thought she would die. The last 3 miles is like, she says,
Oh yeah.
I thought I will die, Mom. I was crying the last 3 miles. And in fact, they sustain some scars of from carrying the rock. And even the guy I met has, the mom said that he has a huge scar, a bleeding scar from the carrying that 50-pound. And climbing the uphill, as Joe said, all the hills, all the roads in West Point are uphill, which is true. I actually have the video to prove that.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
So, Joe, it must be very. You know every process of being in as a West Point cadet and as a grad. How does it feel seeing your son go through the beast and what he will continue to endure? As a parent, what do you feel?
I feel, I would say that I feel confident that Joey, we've trained him, or we've given him advice in terms of how to train in order to succeed for Beast, right? And of course, the academic year. And now it's really on him, right, in order to continue, preparing and studying, doing well in academics, and continuing to work out and prepare for, the next round of training, whether that be CFT next summer or other military training that he might encounter throughout this academic year. So I feel, one that we've done what we can to help prepare him when he decided that this is the path he wanted to choose. And then now, there's the level of a little bit of being, proud, that it's a very tough accomplishment to get into West Point. And so, we're proud for him, but then we're also somewhat, we feel a little bit of anxiousness because it's 47 months where, something can go wrong. So, and there's a lot to go wrong. Ask, 300 of my former classmates who didn't graduate with me, so, at the end of the day, that anxiousness and angst that we have for our child, stays there, and maybe we won't sleep, 100% until May of 2026 when they graduate. But yeah, we're proud that he's there now, but we know that this is just the start of the journey.
Very, very true. I could not sleep well on that march, the beast itself. Right after the march back, that's the only time I could actually breathe. Because as Jocelyn mentioned or Rick mentioned about Joe saying goodbye and didn't know whether he'll come back or not. That's the feeling of us as parents when they went to this the R Day. Especially me, it says goodbye, good morning, good afternoon, goodbye, and good night. As if like, wait, no, this is not a goodbye. It was really hard, and I think as a parent, we all can connect to that difficulty, not only the difficulty that they are encountering, as if we too were doing the march back with them, although only Joe really did the march back. Right, Joe?
Yes.
Yeah,
Can
I
you
was
tell?
fortunate to get that.
Yeah, can you tell people who doesn't know what is a march back?
So the culmination of your training at cadet basic training is a 12 plus mile march back from Lake Frederick, which is on the academy training grounds, back to main campus at West Point. And so the last day of training, the new cadets at that point, wake up at 2 a.m., 2:30 a.m., and then they put 50 pounds on their back and they march back to the academy as a signal that the training is over, that cadet basic training is over, that Beast is over, and they're now prepared to join the Corps of Cadets as full-fledged cadets versus new cadets. And so that's the march back. And this has been a tradition since, I don't know, the beginning of time, I guess, or whenever they did cadet basic training. So I did the march back 29 years ago in 1993. And it was the same march back, the same 50 pounds, the same route, the same waking up at 2 a.m. And they give an opportunity for old grads like me, like really old grads, to join the march back. And so when given the opportunity, I signed up. And luckily, I was able to get a slot, and they're pretty coveted because lots of grads want to come back and march with the new cadets. And I got to spend a few hours with our kids, and marching shoulder to shoulder with my son as we walked back to the West Point campus. So that was fun.
Wow.
Thank you, Joe. Ate Tess, do you have any question? I know many of these words are new to you, but
I'm just a little bit confused about march back. That's 12 miles. You're going back to the academy.
Yeah.
How about going from the academy to where? What do you call that? Because you have to go back but you have to go somewhere to march back.
There's a march out to Lake Frederick, which is smaller because they take a different route. I think the march is like 6 miles or 5.5 miles, but it's not ceremonial, right? It's not, just like it's the start of training. And so really the bigger celebration is the march back, because that signals that training is over. So they make that a little bit of an event at the academy. Grads are invited, about 100 grads are invited to join the march back with the new cadets. A lot of the West Point personnel and those that live on the base or the post will come out and cheer the cadets for their last 2 miles as they march back to the barracks or to the main campus. Lots of parents will travel to West Point and then join. It's almost like a parade back as they march and join the Corps of Cadets. To get ready for the academic year.
Okay.
So,
well, thank you.
yeah, Joe, you were there from the time they marched back to they reached the superintendent's house. Yes. How does it feel marching with your son?
Oh, it was wonderful, and we spent the whole time chatting about his experience at Beast. There's a lot. There's a saying that the old grads say. It's the Corps has, and it's short for the Corps has gone to hell, meaning that it's gotten easier. Every time a class graduates, that class thinks that the Corps gets easier. And so it was good to compare notes of what his Beast was like versus mine. And so that was fantastic. What I walked away with was their Beast was a lot less hazing and a lot better military training, which I think is better. We spend a lot of our time in Beast, getting hazed and wasting our time. They spend a lot of time training, much better training than what we had when we were new cadets going through cadet basic training. And then also I got to meet his classmates and hear how excited they were about what they accomplished through Beast. To hear about their teamwork and their collaboration, and then also hear what they were excited about and apprehension they had or anxiousness they had about the academic year. So that was just a good experience overall.
Thank you, Joe. Jocelyn and Rick, earlier you talked about that feeling when Joe was still a ranger and saying goodbye to you, and you don't know when he's coming back or where he's going. How would you compare him coming to West Point and that experience?
Well, the unknown of where they're, when they're going somewhere, you don't know where they're going, and you can't have any contact with them. It's terrifying. A lot of things, a lot of sleepless nights, a lot of things run through your mind. We're, as far as the beast, and we're kind of used to it since he's already been through so many different trainings.
It was still hard for me as a mom.
For mom.
Just because that's our oldest son. It just felt a little bit different because we knew that there was an end point. Whereas when when he's deployed, that's unknown how long he's going to be there. So we love this challenge, or this part of his journeys, because he's amongst friends. He's going to school now. He's going to college. We're excited for that next step where he's gotten the physical aspect, and we know that he can do that part. Now it's the challenge of him going and taking the next step for school.
Yeah, he feels like he's the physical, he's not going to have any issues, and he already has had plenty of leadership experience, and he'll get a lot more when it was West Point.
But just like any other family or parents, it's still hard to say goodbye, regardless.
It's hard to say goodbye, and then some things always still run through your mind. Hey, are they doing okay? Are they struggling or succeeding? You just don't know.
It's just nice to have that phone now.
Yes.
Yes. That communication is wonderful, because all of our kids, the three, call every night at least, or text good night, and that's all we can ask.
Yeah,
that they're safe.
That is wonderful. I'm sure you're the one who probably slept the most among the parents of the plebe during that time. But we have one more video to show, and right after this, we will be right back.
Okay.
Thank you.
At magbabalik po ang Buhay Buhay sa Amerika. Huwag kayong aalis.
Hello everyone. Thank you for watching and listening to the show. I'd like to greet a happy 5th anniversary to Buhay Buhay sa Amerika, Rialuz, and the production staff. Thank you for giving our Fil-Am community an important platform to share Pinoy inspirational stories in America and promoting awareness of our talents, culture, and interests. From my family, Dit and Joe Maynard, and yours truly, Edward Lago, Senior Loan Officer at Fairway Independent Mortgage Corporation. For financial guidance, you can reach me at 602-545-7797.
Nagbabalik ang Buhay Buhay sa Amerika ni Ria Luz.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Javier, for allowing us to play those videos. That video that you saw is from the Acceptance Day, or A Day at West Point. Joe and Rick and Jocelyn, it must still be fresh in your mind that Saturday and Sunday, first time we see our cadets after many weeks. I'm sure Joe has seen him on March back, but it's different when they are wearing that hat, right? Right, Joe?
For sure. It was a fantastic experience to watch. It's for those of you that don't know, Acceptance Day, it's when the new cadets are accepted to be part of the Corps of Cadets, and their title changes from new cadet to cadet. And so the way that the parade is set up, it's very ceremonial, where the new cadets are marched out in front of the stands, and then they are marched to join the ranks of the other 3 classes of cadets. And then they do a pass-in review, meaning that they go and show the unit or the troops to the commanding general in approval that the unit is fit and ready for combat. In this case, ready for the academic year. So that was a great experience to be able to watch.
Yes, Joe. It feels like so real. Our day or reception day is the scary part, but this one is the most exciting part, right? As for
sure.
parents.
Yeah.
And you could see how beautiful West Point ground and the 200 plus years of history of this amazing academy. Joe, may I ask, are this band cadets or they are
No.
assigned in West Point?
So the West Point band is actually the official U.S. Army band.
Oh.
And so these are professional musicians that are enlisted. So they're typically like E6 or staff sergeant or higher. And all they do is, well, I won't say all they do, but what they primarily do is play, they play music in support of the cadets, but they also do other things like they go to official U.S. Army functions, whether that be in D.C. or other military bases. They play for funerals, for VIPs or very high-ranking soldiers or important soldiers. They do quite a bit. So they're actually the official U.S. Army band. There is a cadet band. They're called the Rabble Rousers, and that band only plays at basically at athletic events, as well as for spirit events or occasions at West Point. But for ceremonies and for anything that's more formal, it'll be the official West Point band or the official U.S. Army band.
Well, thank you so much, Joe, for clarifying that, because that must be very hard if you are a cadet and then doing that. Every 4 years they will have to change.
Yeah.
But Joe, we mentioned earlier you have started the Filipino Club and now the Pacific Asian Club at West Point. Can you tell us more about that and how many members or Filipino descent are now in West Point at this 2026 cadets?
Yeah, I think we were talking about it earlier. Ria, you have a much better count than I, but there's 13, we believe, that are cadets of Filipino descent. So that's fantastic. When back in 1996, when we decided that we wanted to have a Filipino club as cadets, there was about maybe 20 total cadets at the academy, and there were 7 cadets in my class, to include one guy from the Philippines. So it was 1 Filipino national, and then 6 of us Fil-Ams, and we were part of the founding Filipino club. But we didn't get an official charter as a club from the Directorate of Cadet Activities until after I graduated, which was either 1999 or 2000. I believe it was 1999.
And Joe, I'm so impressed with your support to our community, especially the Fil-Am cadets. You also mentioned about trying to reach to other higher level cadets or graduates to support this club, the Asian Pacific Club. Is that what would you like to mention?
This club has already been in existence officially since like 1999, Ria. So the club already has upper class members. So the club in its current state, it's called the Asian Pacific Club, APC. From what I understand from the officer in charge, Major John Lucero, there's about 25 to 30 cadets and maybe like 15 cadets that are really active in the club. and the membership goes across classes. So from the first class cadets, seniors, all the way to recruiting our plebes to join the club as of last week.
Wow. I just hope that my cadet will come in the next meeting. I sent her a message that you sent on the chat. And this time, as you have made an unofficial Filipino Parents Club on our group chat. I'd like to mention, Ate Tess, if you won't mind, the names of the parents and their sons. Janice Gafford with son Richard, Maribel Lara Warzecha, Doris Amelia, Jocelyn Aventurado, Enrique Aventurado, their son is Joseph, Raul and Emmeline Sebastian, their son is Marcos from Woodland Hills, California, Rosalia and Glenn Real, their son is Vernon from Tracy, California, Alfred and Teresa Soriano, their son is Joshua from Houston, Texas, Celeste Perez, their cadet Lucas, and June Untalan Sullivan from Stockton, California. Their son is Elijah, and a new Fil-Am mom that I met at A-Day is Michelle. Their son is Easton. I met an Imelda, and I met Jocelyn and Joey. Altogether, 13, lucky 13. That's a proud moment for us, Ate Tess.
Congratulations to all of you.
Well, thank you.
Having those cadets at the PMA. Oh, no, the PMA.
No, West Point.
Academy. Excuse me for that. It's the West Point Academy.
Well, we have so much respect for PMA. In fact, one of the cadet is a PMA from a cadet from PMA from Philippines. There's one cadet from Philippines studying in West Point right now.
They get training from there too, right?
Yes.
From the PMA, they go to West Point and they get training.
Yes, very select few. We only have less than 3 minutes to go. So for Joe and Jocelyn and Rick, would you like to say a few words?
I don't know what to say.
Greet your son.
Huh?
You can greet your son or whoever you want to
Hey,
greet.
Joseph.
Well, I mean, on behalf of all the, I mean, I'm just the support of having been from the outside and then coming into West Point and meeting both of you, Joe, especially, you know, putting this together as far as the Parents Club. It's been amazing that the support is there, regardless of where we're coming from and what we're doing. Together, within the next 4 years, we will, you know, be together and make sure that our children, our sons or daughters are going to go through this journey with the support of the parents. And that's amazing how we can also tie in our Filipino heritage with that as well. So thank you for allowing us to be part of this program as well, too.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, the support programs are just, those are amazing. Really, I mean, for us in the beginning, it definitely helped us a lot. I mean, it was great to have the communication on things and be able to, you know, text back and forth with people.
Knowing that we're not alone.
Yes.
Yes, and we're not alone as long as we have Joe with us leading the way.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Joe.
Yes, thank
Joe,
you,
any last word?
Yeah, I think first and foremost, again, congratulations on 5 years. And secondly, you know, America needs good leaders, good officers. And there's plenty of candidates from our Filipino community. So whatever we can do to help our young Filipino Americans want to serve our country, you know, I'm happy to help in any way.
Thank you so much, Joe. You are truly our leader, and you are serving our country very well and bringing Philippines so much honor. Ate Tess, would like to say a few?
Thank you so much for joining us today, Joseph and Jocelyn and Rick. Thank you so much, and I appreciate all of you. I can feel the pain and excitement that you have for your children over at West Point. And I congratulate you and Ria for such support you have with your kids.
Thank you so much, Ate Tess, Joe, Rick, and Jocelyn, from all of us here. Maraming salamat for all of you for watching, and may God bless you, and see you in many more episodes of Buhay Buhay sa Amerika. Thank you so much for joining. God bless.
Much love and appreciation. We want to thank everyone who supported Buhay Buhay sa Amerika on its 5th year. And thank you, and we also pray for continuous success for this program. Goodbye! Huwag kayong alis! Babalik! Buhay Buhay sa Amerika. Join us again next time at entremujeresradio.net. Hanggang sa muli, mabuhay!